Sport is aflame with issues, and in extreme sport, those flames are extremely hot. Just how crazy is crazy? And who puts the X into X sports? Who's the biggest in big wave surfing? The dodgiest in free running? And why do people jump off cliffs? It's our episode of Extreme Action, and these are the burning issues. Young folk these days prefer their sports with the X factor. That's X as in extremely risky. But just how extreme does an extreme sport have to be? Standing high on a cliff and diving more than 25 meters or 80 feet into a rock pool. Flashing down a tight, twisting track of ice at murderous speed. Riding a wall of water, fearsome in its force and impossible to contain. Leaping from a mountain peak, dependent only on the aerodynamics of a wingsuit to save you from a stony landing hundreds of meters below. There's no doubt some people go to extremes to play their sport. But what is extreme and what isn't? There is no definitive measure of when a sport officially becomes extreme, except it has to be dangerous. Many of the sports conducted at the X Games are based on normal sports, like cycling, skiing, and surfing. But the peddlers who go screaming around the banked velodromes or roads at the Olympics, or the skiers who go somersaulting in the aerial events at the Winter Olympics aren't exactly wimps, and they dance with danger all the time. Take BMX and mountain biking. They were born as extreme sports, but now they're in the Olympics. Does that mean they aren't extreme anymore? And at the other end of the scale, what defines extreme sport from extreme lunacy? We can understand the progression from skiing to jet skiing. We can understand the progression from surfing to big wave surfing. We can even understand the progression from diving off the 10-meter platform to diving off a cliff. Although, kids, please don't do this at home. What is harder to understand is the progression from parachuting to wingsuiting. Now that's lunacy. And to open a whole new can of worms, things like wingsuit flying, cave diving, and base jumping are tough to judge and surely aren't sports. At least in chess, there's a clear winner and loser. Up next, the biggest thing in big wave surfing.
I have to accept the fear. I have to feel it. I have to embrace it.
Women's surfing no longer asks for attention. It just gets it. Gals like world champion Tyler Wright and six-time world champ Steph Gilmore, shredding with style and power to rival their male counterparts. But surfing isn't just about style anymore. See, there's surfing, and then there's surfing. The size of the waves being ridden now is truly mind-boggling. And there's one lady riding more terrifying waves than any other woman, Brazilian Maya Gabeira. Gabeira is considered the gutsiest female surfer on the planet, having conquered a long list of the scariest waves on offer.
I have to accept the fear. I have to feel it. I have to embrace it.
Although she isn't known for having the style of girls like Gilmore, that doesn't matter. Her big wave charging is getting serious attention, lifting the profile of women's surfing to new heights. Which leaves us to ask, is Maya Gabeira the biggest deal in women's surfing? The same question was asked in men's surfing about Hawaiian big wave nut Laird Hamilton in the early 90s. Hamilton was the first to bring toe surfing to the world, riding huge jaws. And now Maya is on a similar journey. She was always going to have a radical edge. Her father, Fernando, a former member of a guerrilla group in Brazil that kidnapped a US ambassador in 1969. And you'll see Maya surfing waves high enough to make any mortal cry for mama. But it's not just surfing waves with height where a surfer earns her stripes these days. It's on waves with grunt. Teahupu in Tahiti is considered the heaviest wave on Earth. Sever the head is the loose translation of the word Teahupu. It's a hideously beautiful thing. Swell rolling in from deep Pacific Ocean to drain below sea level off the reef, then explode with enormous punch. Gabeira put her neck on the line at Teahupu in 2011, and it didn't go well.
I remember when we went to Teahupu and it was gigantic. I was shaking, you know, my mouth was shaking, and I had 2 massive wipeouts.
Those wipeouts happened on the shallowest part of the reef, where she came up to see 5 more massive waves land on her head.
I knew that I would only survive if I put a serious consciousness effort to not black out.
But she did black out and washed up on the reef where she was found unconscious. And this, friends, is where Gabeira establishes herself as the leader in women's big wave surfing, her attitude towards danger. Despite the terrifying event, she went back in 2014 to tussle with the guillotine once more.
I know exactly the risks I'm taking, and I'm willing to take them. I love what I do, and I love the adrenaline, the ocean and the waves and the intensity of the energy. It can really give me that opportunity to live something like that.
Maya's irreverence towards danger and her commitment to pushing her body into the gnarliest waves on Earth means she's absolutely leading the charge to close the gap between women's and men's surfing. And it's why she's the biggest deal in women's surfing. Parkour is so big that athletes want real respect. But can they ever have it when they're so dodgy? One of the newest extreme sports to emerge on the world stage is the gravity-defying, fingernail-stripping public nuisance known as parkour. Parkour emerged from military training, with the participants' objective to move from point A to point B over obstacles as efficiently as possible. But now it's spread to city streets across the planet, with walls and roofs the apparati on which to execute moves. It's grown so popular, even the older generations are jumping on board. In fact, recently, people have started claiming it deserves respect along with other high-profile extreme sports. There are many objections to this, but the most pressing is that of all the extreme athletes, those doing parkour might just be the dodgiest. The sport itself is dodgy by nature. Parkour, or free running, requires athletes to jump, pounce and climb all over other people's houses and buildings and smear their grubby fingers on public monuments and features. What other sport do you know of that shows such widespread disrespect? parkour nut Ryan Doyle likes to divert the blame, saying the activity is part of human nature.
See, a lot of people ask me, when did you start doing parkour? And I ask them, when did you stop doing parkour? Because I'm sure when you were a kid, you used to climb trees and jump off walls.
But if you're so proud of your weird sport, mate, why do you hang out with guys in creepy masks? Looks pretty dodgy. Traceurs, as parkour athletes like to call themselves, have often been found stuck up on roofs when they couldn't make a jump, which, apart from making them look stupid, takes emergency services to get them down when they could be rescuing people in actual trouble. Despite their dodginess, parkour athletes have even started calling for their sport to be in the Olympics. They say it should go under the banner of sports judged on art of movement, like gymnastics or synchronized swimming. But the thing is, parkour is really just a little bit of gymnastics, a little bit of breakdancing, mixed with a few other weird sports, making it not quite anything. It's dodgy. Comparisons have also been made with sports like skateboarding and BMX freestyle, but they're not doing it any favors. Skateboarding and BMX were also born out of street punk roots. And anyway, if parkour was going to be in the Olympics, someone would have to come up with some decent rules for the thing.
So for us, it's the absolute freedom of movement, you know? It's no limitations, just go and move. Just a pair of trainers, that's it, you're free, you know?
So do whatever the heck you like, in other words. How on earth do you judge something like that? Sounds like you'd have more chance getting an accurate result out of a bunch of chimps running around in a zoo. They're so dodgy, these parkour guys, that they even hijacked a train and tried to make it look like a video game. Bunch of animals. If you're in any doubt as to how dodgy parkour or traceurs or free runners or whatever they call themselves are, just check out Jason Paul. We all know how worried people are about airport security these days. And yet, here's Paul bouncing around the Munich terminals like a springbok. Imagine if they were your bags. What a dodgy, dodgy man. After the break, if someone told you to go jump off a cliff, would you? You kinda know a sport is dangerous when they don't start until the ambulance turns up. Well, in cliff diving, they not only don't start without the paramedics, they don't start until there are 3 scuba divers in the water ready to pluck a diver from the bottom of the ocean. To be fair, accidents are rare at World Championship level because the divers have all had years of some sort of diving and acrobatic experience. But the wear and tear on the body, hitting the water around 60 miles per hour, means the pro cliff divers carry injuries all the time. And every dive hurts. It's estimated that hitting an unbroken surface of water from the 27 meters of a standard cliff diving drop would be equivalent to falling onto concrete from 13 meters. To lessen the impact, sprays of water constantly break the surface, and cliff divers land feet first rather than head first, even though those who dive off cliffs have only half a brain to protect. Even so, the impact is said to be 9 times greater than the Olympic divers from the 10-meter platform. Heels, ankles, backs, ribs all take a pounding. Czech diver Mikhail Navratil has had them all, so when he returned from knee surgery in 2016, well, it was no wonder he high-fived the scuba divers.
I didn't expect that I even will compete. I just wanted to try first dive, and if after first dive I will feel good, I will try it, because it's kind of still fresh after the injury. I just try to. I didn't run for 1 month. I just really was unable to walk properly, but 2 weeks ago I started to drive the bicycle and slowly do the physical stuff.
The Red Bull Cliff Diving Series began in 2009 for men, with a women's event introduced in 2014. Some exotic locations and fabulous views are enhanced by one of the sport's great advantages. It's best to dive in summer because when the water is warmer, it doesn't hurt as much. But while the season is limited to only 6 or 7 venues over just a few months, the preparation must be extensive.
This preseason building is imperative. I mean, if you don't put the time in now, you're going to get mid-season and you're going to fall apart. This is just one of many steps over the year-long commitment to being able to handle a full professional cliff diving season.
In high diving, you're doing the skill just on the way down. Russian swing, you have time to do the skill on the way up and still on the way down. So I'm actually able to fit some of my high dives off of the Russian swing, and you get that muscle memory, that muscle movement.
We jump on the trampoline, yeah, of course, we're always doing aerial stuff, you know, get upside down, do some twists, just to maintain that feeling of being weightless and, you know, controlling your body in the air.
Already a legend of a young sport is British diver Gary Hunt, winner of 6 of the first 8 Red Bull Cliff Diving Championships.
There's nothing relaxing when you're up on that platform. It's a thrill ride every time.
But Hunt's dominance does demonstrate one of the sport's biggest weaknesses. If you can appreciate the irony, it's this: cliff diving lacks depth. The sport is so specialized that only about 50 athletes worldwide are good enough or dumb enough to compete. This lack of depth perhaps explains one of the most extraordinary rises in any sport in 2016. Australian Rhiannon Ifland had finally come to terms with the fact that she was not good enough to make Australia's Olympic diving team. So she looked into the fledgling women's section of the Red Bull Cliffs. She was given a wildcard entry into the first leg of the 2016 season and won it.
Absolutely amazing. I mean, the crowds helped, the atmosphere, all the other amazing divers around. It's a dream come true, to tell you the truth, and it still hasn't sunk in. But at the moment, I'm just so overly happy I can't even explain.
By the end of the season, she'd won 5 of the 7 events and the whole championship.
Well, I mean, I feel over the moon right now, and still, it's still sinking in.
Yes, she really did say it was still sinking in. Freestyle motocross riders are a wild bunch, and as such, they love their tattoos. Tats and FMX have a relationship that goes way back. Seth Enslow, for example, set the bar for crazy with the Crusty Demons of Dirt in the 90s, and also sets the bar for the amount of flesh covered in ink. And now most riders on the FMX circuit have followed suit big time, thinking they're all tough. Well, they probably are tough, to be fair. But so many of them are inked up now, it's almost like not having tattoos is the new getting a tattoo. So is it actually cooler to be a freestyle rider without them? Australian Clinton Moore doesn't think so. He's covered in the things. And okay, Clint, so you're pretty good on that bike. But then listen to him talk about his tats.
My first tattoo when I was 16, it's just Chinese symbols on my stomach, and what they mean is just dream, crazy, lover.
Clint, that's all very deep and meaningful, mate. But don't forget, pop star pain in the neck Justin Bieber also has a skin full of tattoos these days. And we're sure he could tell you a long and soppy story about them too. There are a few FMX exceptions out there though, namely Kiwi lunatic Levi Sherwood and French madcap Tom Pages. Both of these boys are as badass as anyone in the air, but distinctly lacking in mess on the skin. And Pages gives insight as to why that might just make them cooler than all the rest.
I don't have tattoos because I do my heart on my bike, and the guys that cannot do heart on the bike get a heart on the body.
That's right. Tom and Levi let their riding do the talking. Sherwood, ironically, has a particularly rebellious attitude towards them.
I just do what I want to do. Tattoos are something that I don't really want to get, so that's how it is.
It's what bad boy teens used to say to their mums. I do what I want. I'm getting a tattoo. Now you're an individual if you don't. Seriously, how many people with tattoos have you heard banging on about them being an expression? An expression of who I am and, oh, where's the bucket? And it's not just Bieber in the Tramp Stamp Club these days. You've got Miley Cyrus and that goose Chris Brown and a whole bunch of others. Does being in that club really make you cool? And let's face it, Levi expresses himself plenty with that haircut. Oh, and that double backflip speaks all for itself. Coming up next, when things go wrong in extreme sports, they go really, really wrong. Extreme athletes live on the edge. But with that comes serious risk of serious injury. So what extreme sports attract the most bumps, breaks, and boo-boos? There are some obvious examples of extreme sports where injuries are a given. BMX racing and BMX freestyle, for instance, are prime candidates for the emergency ward. As Olympic gold medalist, Mariana Payon explains.
This is a dangerous sport. It's an extreme sport. You have a lot of challenges, big jumps. You're going too fast, and it's just a little bike. So, yeah, you just have to take it. It's what we love about it. It's adrenaline all over.
And when asked how many bones she's broken,
I already broke 18 bones. I have more broken bones than world champion titles.
and man, it's no wonder. Tons of speed plus hard ground with no give equals lots of pain. Another sport that can deliver its athletes a beating is big wave surfing. And there's one guy who's taken worse beatings than most, Aussie Mark Matthews. The big wave charger looks pretty relaxed out there at Shipsterns Bluff on the south coast of Tasmania. You'd never guess that once he wiped out headfirst into the rocks and nearly broke his neck at this very spot. Then in 2016, he came to grief after being towed into a huge wave in South Australia and broke his leg, tearing off an artery and almost losing the limb. Yuck. Goodness knows how many bones have been broken in skydiving when parachutes fail to open. Well, actually, broken bones probably aren't the worst of it if your parachute fails to open, but there have been examples of survival. Like Briton James Bull, who once became too distracted filming while base jumping in Russia, and forgot to pull his chute. He survived a 6,000-foot fall, landing in snow with a broken back and rib from which he recovered. Lucky devil. These indoor skydivers are way smarter, ditching the plane and the sky to bring the risk factor down. It could be argued there is a godfather to all these extreme athletes, the deranged daredevil Evel Knievel, who jumped, shot, fired and launched himself into more death-defying stunts than should have been possible. In his career, Evel racked up an incredible 433 broken bones, a Guinness record. Now that's extreme.